Wow. Well, hello everyone. My name is Caroline Modarressy-Tehrani. I'm a correspondent with Huffpost, and I am here today to talk to this indomitable young woman who was the first female in a wheelchair to be gracing the digital cover of Teen Vogue magazine. Jillian Mercado, total trailblazer. And I'm just thrilled to be talking to you. So, I mean, we live in a world where there is not a lot of visibility given to people with disabilities, but you've made that part of your mission. What is your strategy?
Wow. Well, it's an honor to be here, first of all. Even with you, I mean, can we talk about this outfit, first of all?
Oh my God, no.
Second
Wait,
of all.
stop. You're amazing. I've known this woman for 5 years, and I tell you, she has been an absolute superstar back then, and even more so now.
Thank you. Well, for me specifically, and personally speaking, I loved fashion so much as a child, and I just wanted to be part of that world so bad. So I basically saw the lack of representation in the industry for my community. And it confused me so much because we're 1 billion people. 1 out of 5 people have a disability, whether it's invisible or visible. In my case, it's visible. And I think that it's a community people have definitely not put into the light that we see ourselves in. That meaning, I interned a lot. I interned my butt off every year in college. There was at one point I had 2 internships plus going to college at the same time. And I didn't let my wheelchair stop me. I worked at Condé Nast, I worked at Hearst Building, and I just really wanted to learn the politics behind fashion so that one day I can hire someone like me in the industry.
And you, not only is she just, you're paving the way, but also, I mean, gracing campaigns like Beyonce's Formation Tour, you were on the merchandising campaign for that. Like, how have you been able to project way more confidence than I think a lot of us in this room manage to project in our lifetimes? But you do this on a day-to-day basis. What is your sort of motivation when you get in front of some of the top CEOs of some of the biggest brands in this country?
Well, one, it's really hard when you're like the first of your kind to take fear and put it to the side and say, I'm not going to be fearful of this anymore. And I want to teach other people not to be fearful as well. So when I am in those meetings, when I have the opportunity and the privilege to be a voice for my community, I think about me as a young child hoarding magazines and going, where am I here? And not finding myself at all. So that comes into mind. It comes to mind when, when I just see people message me on social media and going, I didn't think that this was even going to be possible. So I not do it for myself, I do it to hold the door for someone else.
And that's amazing, yeah. And I think that idea of holding the door for someone else, I mean, you make it seem so easy. I mean, sitting next to this amazing woman, I mean, she makes it look so easy, effortless grace. But I know it's not always been easy. There have been challenges. What are some of the challenges that you've had to face sort of navigating a world that isn't built for people with disability?
I mean, we can really be here for at least 3 years talking about it. The world really didn't have us in consideration when making buildings, when, I mean, I talk about this in social media all the time. Flying, I wish I just had a reality show, just me embarking and getting off the plane. Because individual, it takes you like maybe a minute through TSA, it takes me 20. And that's just because they have to, every inch of my chair, they have to inspect me, and the lack of like awareness that, just that they have, it's unfortunate, really. So there's so many things. I don't even know where to begin at this point.
And you kind of have been able to do this because you've been so visible with some of these powerful companies like Nordstrom, like Diesel.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be sort of the biggest takeaways for other people with disability when they see you breaking these barriers? I mean, is it just for people with disability that you're talking to, or are you talking to the rest of us too?
Oh, I'm talking to everyone. I feel like foremost I am talking to, people in my community and giving them hopefully the power to say, you know what, no, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a technician or a doctor. and my disability has nothing to do with it at all. And I will find ways to do that, you know? But I am also talking about the whole world, because without the whole world, we don't have that opportunity. And I think that that's the problem, is that people don't see us as value, and they don't give us that opportunity to excel in life. And we are the most creative. I mean, the things that I've come up with in situations, I could be a billionaire at this point.
Well, and I think that that's the thing, that this idea of changing people's mindset to think that there's actually inherent value in catering to people and actually listening to people with disability. You know, how have you transformed that so that it's not just a moment? Because I feel like, you know, and I think we've all kind of seen it, there seems to be a shift, right? There's been like a kind of shift in who we're seeing on the front cover of our magazines, who we're showing our daughters, and, you know, what we're exposing our kids to. How do you want to see that transform into, you know, not just a moment, but a movement? What do you think it's going to take?
All of us, honestly, having these conversations all the time and kind of bombarding in everyone's face at every moment, to the point that you're so, how do I explain it? You're so, I don't want to say sick of it, but you're like, okay, fine, I'll do something about it situation and make it possible so that someone who has a disability is a CEO at like a huge, huge corporation and have that seen every single time. I mean, how I think about it is, you know, way back in the day, which was actually not that way back, but when people of color were not put into high places, you know, there were so many excuses. Honestly, some of the same excuses that we get in my community, and it would be so unacceptable now in our time. So I see it that way, and hopefully, I mean, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to have the conversation keep going forever.
Yes, yeah, and I think, yeah, a round of applause for that. I mean, and it is about kind of keeping this conversation going. And, you know, I mean, one of the biggest guests that's been announced for today in Women in the World, obviously, is Hillary Clinton. And, you know, in 2016, she really made disability kind of a part of her platform. Obviously, without getting too political, because otherwise we'll bore everyone to tears. And this is a safe space. You know, who are you looking to in 2020 that's getting you excited, that's actually kind of centering disability rights as part of their platform? Is there anyone you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a privilege to be alive at this time. And I think that, especially in the last couple of years, we've definitely have seen how much we really need to work together. And it's given us an opportunity to say, you know what? I mean, especially me, I was born in New York. I'm a New Yorker through and through. We kind of live in a bubble here, and our diversity is just the most amazing in the whole world, I think. But that's just as a New Yorker. Of course, I would say that. Yes, whoever clapped there. But as far as 2020, the candidates that are running or are saying that they want to run, I'm still looking. I'm being very particular this time. I'm being very choosy, very picky. So I'm very excited to see the debates. It's like literally my favorite part. I get popcorn, get my pajamas, get my notepad, start taking notes, because it's very important. I think that, especially my generation, we are just so sick of people telling our stories. And we want someone to represent us and respects us and hit every community as equal, and as Americans, too.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And, you know, I just sort of wanted to explain to people as well just how much your star has risen. I think we have a photo of you in action, but, you know, when you're not just here, you're also sort of gracing the stages, front covers of magazines, billboards, campaigns in the middle of Times Square. You know, what is next on your agenda, you know, apart from world domination?
Apart from world domination, it's a great one, because I was actually going to say that. I mean, I always have to check my privilege, and I feel like I definitely has done really awesome things. And like I said before, I think having opportunities like this to, you know, tell my story and tell the story of many people who, and I say this all the time, but I think it's so perfect, who has always been invited to the cookout but never been allowed to eat. So, right, you know what I'm talking about. So, for me, it's just excelling that and elevating that to the next level is in my future.
I love it. I mean, you deserve the feast at the table. Jillian, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.